With our frog bridge, feet are together when we're down. So here, feet. Now I'm squeezing my stomach. Okay, take our deep breath, hands relaxed. Inhale, big belly. Exhale to the mouth. Drive it down. Okay, feel your feet together. Pull your toes apart. So in this position, you should really be able to feel your transverse arch, your great toe, and your fifth metatarsal phalangeal joint underneath the pinky pushed together as your toes get flexed up. Now, be sure we're keeping that spine down, squeezing our stomach, push the arch together. Now, here's the tough part. Keeping your knees the same part apart, you're gonna start to dig your heels into the ground. So dig your heels into the ground, push them into the ground, and start to kind of pull your knees open with your heels. You're gonna feel your hamstrings, the back of your thighs start to turn on a little. Stomach is still tight, we're still breathing. The count of 3, we're gonna pull even harder and squeeze our butt at the same time. 1, 2, 3. So now I'm squeezing my butt, pulling the ground. My body's kind of starting to shake already because it's tensioned. Now from this position, squeezing our stomach, squeezing our butt, digging our heels into the ground, flexing our toes away from our body, we're gonna lift ourselves up into that bridge position. The idea here and the feeling here is that you want to feel like you're pulling your butt through your knees and keeping your knees open, all the while digging the ground backwards. So my hamstrings are on and the external rotation has my butt firing as well. We're gonna hold this for 10 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, come on. Keep squeezing, squeezing the butt, squeezing the stomach, knees out. Okay, now we're gonna tap and fire. So when I say tap and fire, the butt taps, fire it up. So we're gonna do 10 of those. Tap, 1, tap, 2, tap, 3, tap, 4, tap, 5, tap, 6, tap, 7, tap, 8, tap, 9, tap, 10, and relax. Easy peasy. Easy, easy peasy. You can go ahead and take the band off. So something a little different that we haven't done before that we'll start to introduce to more and more of our athletes. These are our corkscrew lunge positions. So what we want to understand is we've talked about the calcaneal and the talar foot. So with the calcaneal and the talar foot, what we want to understand is those pieces of our foot, that's where we want to leverage tension from. Okay, so if I'm in this manner, as my foot goes into that talar position, so the calcaneal position, remember calcaneal is pinky toe, toe next to it, and the inside edge of your heel. So as we go into that position, remember everything in our body is a spiral. So as I get into that position on that top of my foot, what I feel the most is right here in this hip socket, this corner pocket, okay? That's what we want to be able to get to. And when it starts to feel, you feel like things in your leg, everything is kind of just streaming energy through. So from a front view, nice and easy, step back. So when you step back, be sure your hip starts over that knee that's right there. Nice and relaxed, comfortable. Hip width apart. So I want you to watch. Body works in a spiral. So if I'm moving in this direction, one of the biggest mistakes we're making when we're doing our rotations, especially within our launch position, your head has to move over the opposite knee. Your head has to move over the opposite knee. That's how we run. That's how we run, that's how we move. So these positions, these isos are gonna help us develop corner hip contraction to deliver extension as well. So we're here, and don't try it just yet, just kind of watch and follow along. Feel with me if you want. We're not doing the reps just yet. So as I move into this position, notice that this knee slides out and over. I don't ever start with this knee inside over my big toe. It's always outside the pinky. And then if I'm moving and translating this way, same thing is happening. It's just getting wider and wider. In this position, I literally feel probably the best I've ever felt in all the tissues around my knee. But right here, this backside is burning and it is contracting. The other thing that we want to have and want to understand, if our body works in a spiral, as I move into this position, and you want to think of it like, here's your spine, you're a snake wrapping around your spine. As I move into that position, notice the square that is my hips pretty much stays there. I'm just, like I said, moving around it. So if I move this way with this foot, this heel has to reciprocate and allow that movement by my hip internally rotating and my heel sliding out. And that pivot point is over the calcaneal foot again, fourth, fifth toe. So when we go into this position and we're here, this is what I mean. The knee takes the moment of me sliding out, okay? The knee takes the brunt of that slide out. But notice my hips didn't really move as far as this square. I just wrapped around it. I just wrapped around it. So I'm here in that position. This is the part of my body that feels all that movement and energy. So we're gonna do a 10-second hold with each leg, and then we're gonna pulse 10 reps. So your pulse is gonna be when we feel that back hip, notice my big toe's kind of like just floating. This is our pulse. If I'm here, pulse is through the hip. Rotate the hip. Rotate through the hip. Pulse, 1, 2, 3. My whole body screws to get in. When I pulse, it screws to get out. Okay, so we're gonna go through that hold first. Nice, comfortable position. Like I said, you're not big. It's just right here. You gotta learn to rotate. Get that, be a snake around your spine. So here we go. If you want to cross your arms, it helps to get that shoulder rotation. Knee starts outside. Rotate, holding for 10 seconds. Stay in it. Stay in it, be nice. Still tall. My spine is still at this angle. Now we're gonna pulse. 1, 2, 3. Stay on the outside edge of your foot. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Good. Now we're gonna do the other side. Fun, fun, fun. So if you didn't feel that, mostly in that corner hip, that means we still have trouble. Maybe some ankle mobility, some of those things. Not super likely because of the energy we're putting in that position, but everything here should be what's, for a lot of you, even through the things I've showed you, if you've had me in Zoom lessons before, your glutes have never felt like this, not this specific area. So other foot, knee starts out over that pinky, okay? Like I said, I'll show the cross arm version. We're here. And get into that, this one's really deep. Right here, into that hip. Notice that heel is out. Everything's in this hip right here, right here. And I'm just seriously just resting on this fourth and fifth. 5 seconds. You want to continue to work rotation, you can. Everything stays in this hip, completely facing that way. And pulse. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Good. So now we've got glutes firing, those things. Now we want to be sure that the hamstring and the glute work from a standing position. So very similar stance that we're going to take. Now we're going to add the pull of the hamstring to help us get into extension of the hips and finish off that spiral. So we're going to be in the same position. Once we get there, now from here, we've done a lot prior about pulling the ground backwards. Now you're gonna do it actively. Now with the outside of my foot, I'm pulling the ground. You can see, I'll try to, it's hard because in that position, the hamstring works better than even just being here. If I just do that and lunge, the hamstring works a little bit. When I pull, you see the change. This is me relaxed. That's me pulling. Now, if I do my corkscrew and I get on the calcaneal foot, I want you to watch as that starts. I'm already pretty active in that position, okay? And then once I pull, even more activation, okay? And so all we're gonna do is we're gonna pull back in this position. We're gonna pull for 10 seconds. And then once that pull is over, all I'm gonna say is drive. When I say drive, that means you pull the ground back, drive your hips forward, and unleash from that hip. That's all you're doing. That's all we're doing. Super simple, very easy for us to kind of understand and work through. So here we are. Left leg forward first. Knees bent. Okay. Get in that position. Pull the ground. Be sure now it's not just your butt, it's your hamstring and that corner hip. 5 seconds. You should feel more and more energy kind of creep in here. We're about to explode out. Remember, work through the hip. Let the hip move you. Move through that pinky toe. 3, 2, step. And notice that when you step, there's so much energy. This foot literally lands in the same place, and you're already ready to take a second step. That's what you want. You want energy return happening efficiently and functionally. Other side, last one. Battery's still good. Knee starts out, always outside. Sink into it. Pull. Notice how my big toes kind of flared up as I'm pulling the ground backward. Energy still in that hip. Still rotated. Ready to move. 5, 4, stay low. 3, 2, and come out of it. Okay, shake your legs out a little bit. Should be kind of warm, ready to go. Okay, so now we want to get arms working. We're going to start with a static drill first, then get right into our drive skills. Okay, so we're going to go stagger W again. Hamstrings are working really well. Focus on being on the outside, that calcaneal foot. Our prep to that, 2 different drills, 2 different throwing drills with our med ball. So if you've got your med ball, if you don't, that's okay, perfectly fine. Okay, so the 2 drills we're going to talk about as far as what we're doing with our med ball, our first one is going to simulate that stagger. Okay, so we want to get this to work. So we're here in that rotation, very similar to where I'd be in my W. Now I'm using that same corner hip pocket. I'm just relaxed right here like I was over there, using that corner hip pocket. Small ball is preferred. If you've got a big one, the bigger 10-inch diameter ones, perfectly fine as well. You're still relaxed up top. It would just be you're relaxed here instead of kind of just relaxed here. So we want that same motion. And it's just the side that you throw with. So this is me being right-handed. Right-handed stance. If I'm left-handed, left foot is forward. So let's get in that position. That's what we would do first. So we get into that position, same thing that we just did as our prep work. And now what we're gonna do is when we feel that hip cocked, we pull that leg back. All we're doing when we drive is we're releasing that energy into where we're throwing. So it'll look like, and I'm getting all of that back hip working through. We're gonna do 4 of those, 4 of those. And then our second blended skill is going to be our lat snap downs. So our lat snap downs, small ball, big ball, doesn't matter. Our goal is to start to get our serratus and our lats, the things that help the scapula move and get through our pull down phase, really start to fire and work. Key concepts here. Number one, if I've got a small ball, it's going to be easier for me to engage. These muscles right here are what we want to work. So I want to be eye level. I want to push into the ball more with my fingers, and I want to pinch my elbows together without letting them go like that. Okay? Pinch from this position. Pinch from this position. Squeeze the stomach down. As soon as you squeeze your stomach, you're going to feel these start to turn on more and more the harder you try to pinch the elbows together while your stomach is on. That's what we want. So we're here, squeezing our stomach, squeezing our butt. Okay? And then all we're doing is driving it down. You're not whipping it with your hand. It is moving through the elbows, through the elbows. If you've ever done a lat pull down, or as a parent, if you're watching this, she's having trouble understanding. If you've done a lat pull down like this, you're not pulling the bar down with your hands. It's your back that's moving it. Same thing here. I'm here, and it's that motion. My hands almost stay in this position, and they finish there because I'm driving through the elbows. We're going to do 4 and 4, and then we're going to do 4 pitches. Okay, we're going to go through that. We got time. 3 times. 3 times. That's going to be kind of our little progressionary throwing warm-up. Be sure you are using your legs just the same way we did in our prep work and exercises. If you're not tying the two together and you're just going to try to do these with your shoulder and your arm, you're not going to be successful at anything. You're not. It's just stress. It's a very small compartment of your body to put a lot of stress on, especially at early ages. So let's go ahead. Let's get started. So we've got 4. So same thing. I'm nice and relaxed. Nice and relaxed. I'm going to find that corner hip. I'm going to find that corner hip. Okay. Then I'm going to pull the ground backwards. This muscle turns on. This hip is firing. 3. Relax with the hands. 2. And driving it out. Driving that hip. Notice that when I drive out, I don't come up. This knee actually got a deeper shin angle because I'm moving through the hips. 3 more. We're going to pick up the pace. Get set. Rotate. Pull. Go. 2. Move back a little. Get set. Rotate. Pull. Go. 3. Don't take this step if you don't have to. If you don't create enough energy for this step to happen, you shouldn't step. There's some of you that will finish right here. Perfectly fine. It's about getting the hip working with the foot. Last one. Get that hip, energy, pull, and go. Lat snap downs. 4. Get that ball ready. Pinch, squeeze, and 1. Pinch, squeeze the stomach, and smash it. As hard as you can every time. 2 more. Hips, pinch, squeeze the stomach, and there. Last one. Hips, pinch, squeeze, and okay. Now we're throwing from that staggered W. So you've got 4 throws. So remember, it's just how you start. From right-handed, right foot is forward. I get to that outside the heels, outside of that pinky. Pull. Notice, and it's the same thing that you need to understand from your lat snap downs. Your lat snap downs, serratus snap downs, the elbow stays together. You're driven down by the muscles in your back, which pull your elbow down. we're adding the medicine ball throw to that engagement. Those two systems come together to make this throw happen. So when we go through this motion, what you need to understand, the feeling you want to get is that initial feeling of the hips moving, and then that secondary feeling of you doing your lat snap down. Now, when we pump here, we're going to go 2 pumps, then throw. When you pump, keep this arm here. Keep it here. Make your foot and your hip be the thing that creates your tilt. Because remember, our lateral tilt, if we're doing this correctly, we should finish in this angle, because that's just how your body works. That spiral line, your serratus, your lats, and muscles within your chest, all those things, the internal rotation of your shoulder and the activation of those muscles naturally causes lateral trunk flexion. You don't ever have to worry about brush, trigger, any of those things if your muscles are firing correctly. That's just the honest truth. That's what we know based off of anatomy. If those things are firing, that should happen. Those 2 drills that we just did are to help rev that system up to work together, so that when we come to throw, that is happening. So when we do our 2 pumps, this is the dumbest thing you could do. I don't know what that is. You're not even using any of the muscles you used in the 2 drills to do this. Okay? So here we go. Rotate, hips stay forward, pull the ground, pump twice, and let it go. Okay? 4 of those. 4 of those. Reset, same thing. Take your time. Take your time. Outside, outside, pull, rotate away, pump, pump, let it go. 2 more. Reset. Everything here is just gas, straight gas, focusing on those 2 motions. Can you make the same feeling from your med balls happen while you're throwing? That's all you're worried about. Do it again. 3, pump, pump. 1 more, 1 more. Let's do 1 more. Same thing. Here we go. I'm set. Okay. Knee out. Corner hip. And I'm going through. Okay. 2 pumps. 1, 2. Let it rip. Let it rip. Let that tilt happen naturally. Okay, back to our ball drill. Picking up the tempo this time. Picking up the tempo. Pretty easy the first time. So let's pick it up. Smash the wall. Smash the wall. Here. Set. Pull. Whenever you pull, go. Don't wait for me on this one. 1. Reset. Smash your hips through. 2. Smash the hips through. 3. Smash the hips through. 4. Lat snap downs. Pinch. Squeeze. Hard. 1. You should feel this ignite. When you let the ball go, this should be on fire. Squeeze. Go. 2 more. Squeeze. Go. Squeeze. Go. Okay. Last round. We should really, all this should be firing really well. I feel mine revved up. So you should be able to really just pluck it. Okay. Set up. Nice, easy. Find the corner hip. Pump, pump, and go. That shoulder tilt should happen. Reset. Find that corner hip. 1, 2. Go. Reset. 2 more throws. 2 more throws. Go lefty. Not very good. Same thing, set the corner hip, pump, and go. Oh, that's a little awkward. I better work on that. It's terrible. Last one. Last one. Find the corner hip. Remember, don't put your hand out. Don't put your hand out. That's not how your body works. I'm just going to say that simply. Someone needs to prove me wrong first with some science to tell me that you should stick your glove out like that. You should ask those questions to your pitching coach. Ask them for scientific evidence, not what someone told them, who told them, who told them. Here, pump, pump, and go. 4 throws, super easy, super easy, super easy. Now, that blended skill, you could break it apart. So say you're working on your arm circle that day. Some people, you say, we're working on whip, those types of things. Well, if your pull down doesn't activate your serratus and your lat to work together with your chest, then working whip and that is the end result. Understand that that energy is a transfer from what happens through the humerus and from the rest of the body. It's a transfer of energy. We don't even have studies yet that show us how much that energy transfers and how we make it more efficient. So we work the pull down portion. Don't isolate whip so much when it comes to drills, because you can isolate this, but if you don't have the pull down portion of it, that's how that gets transferred. And if that's not happening for us, then you're gonna have to show me something where that's been beneficial, aside from a feel exercise. It's not a strengthening component as far as performance. So now we're gonna work on drive some more. So drive, we're gonna start throwing a little bit more. So what we wanna understand here is these components. We're gonna go over how we create drive, okay? Positions that we need to. If you've watched the post, the 2 posts that I made recently on Instagram TV, or if you're a university member, that I put those in the Dropbox already, the stance and launch keys, and then also the importance of matching spine and shin angle. That was newly added. And then yesterday, the block starts and pitching, how those two relate to each other. That's what we're gonna go over and cover today. Super, super simple. I'm gonna bring us over to kind of our pitching mat so that we could do those things. Is everyone understanding what we're doing so far today? And how has the clarity, the reception, all those things been? You can add that in the chat. It's gonna take me a minute, it's about 45 seconds to finish setting up. Add that in the chat. And then also, get a sip of water if you need to. Does it have it? Yeah. All right. All right. Okay. So first thing we want to do is we want to cover what we want to happen within our kickstand drill and those drills in general. Is these are projection series, projection drills. So the first drill we're going to do is we're just going to worry about pitching from the front of the rubber from an explosive position. We're not going to use the ball right now. This is just called staggered cross arm fall. So staggered cross arm fall is just about projection. We want to manipulate the position that you start from so that you have to worry about less and less, and we can get you to worry about your specific goal that's wrong with you. If you always look like you're climbing stairs when you're pitching, we use projection drills to help you understand and explode through that motion. So when we pitch from the front of the rubber, I'm going to imagine I'm right-handed here. So cues, number 1, okay? And if you burn your foot on the mat, put your right shoe on, left shoe on if you're pitching. I mean, I'm going to do it barefoot, so we'll see. So from that staggered position, what we want, here's a cue. When we pitch from the rubber and when we get in our stance, 2 things that we always want to be cognizant and present of. Number 1, I'm pushing that bony part against the rubber. If in this position, if you haven't watched the stance keys video, if I can't drive my hips forward right away from pushing off the rubber, you're not in a good launch angle. You're not tensioned enough in your foot to where the Achilles is going to fire, because it's simple science. If it were true that you were ready to go and that was an optimal stance for you, when you pushed back into the rubber, the only reaction is equal and opposite, which would mean you move forward. Simple science. There's no other way to define that. If that's not happening, you're not doing it, period. Okay? Now your front foot, you don't have to have your front foot up. Okay? It can be perfectly fine relaxed there, because if it's a cross fall, we're falling to get into that projection angle. And that's something that I talked about in that stance and launch key video. And those two things, the abbreviated version is on Instagram. So if you haven't seen it, go watch it, because if you don't understand that principle, then you're just lying to yourself about getting better at launch. So in this position right here, I have 50% weight. 50% of my weight is in the loaded arch there. 50% is back there, okay? For different people, it's gonna vary. Some are gonna be taller. Some are gonna have to be down here. Doesn't matter. If you're taller, that just means what? You're gonna fall deeper. You fall for a lot longer space. But that's our objective, to go from initial launch angle, feet never move, learning to stay together, and then when I feel all the weight of my body get into those arches, bang, move away. So staggered cross fall. We're going to do 3 of these, and then we're going to pitch from this position. Okay, so the 3 we're due, you're actually going to take a 2-step sprint. So you're here, cross your arms, ball hand is over the top. Just watch me right here. I'm falling, spine and back shin match first. And I want you to imagine it's like a race. If you're doing this without your parent, you're doing this on your own. If I told you to line up for $1 million, how would you take off? Exactly. That's what should be happening when you're pitching. You need to go. Don't pull up early. You don't need to be doing this. Let me throw my stride leg out. Your stride leg is your stride leg based off of what you put into the ground before. That goes back to laws of motion. The action equals the reaction. If your stride leg stinks, or if it doesn't travel far, or it's not getting where some people say it should, you can't fix it in the air. Don't kick it out there. That's being front chain dominant. That means your hip flexors, which are already tight, and your abs, which are weak, are trying to swing that leg through. It doesn't even sound like it makes sense when I put it that way, because it doesn't. Apply energy into the ground, and you will stride out. So we're doing 3 of those. 2-step sprint, fall, push, push. Like I said, sprint off that mat. Sprint off that mat. If you don't have enough space, super simple. It's just a same thing. All you're doing is driving out. Driving out. Okay, so we have 3 of those, and then we're just pitching from the front of the rubber. So now you're going to do the exact same thing that you just did when you did your crossfall. I don't care if that's not how you usually stand. Just try it and see what it feels like. So you're here, okay? Whether you rotate or not, if you do rotate, hopefully you learn something from over there that your chest should wrap around you. If you've gotten to that point, and that's really where everyone should pitch from, eventually you should be able to do that. Spine is what limits us. We should be able to be right here. Fall and go, okay? If you don't do that yet, you have still a little bit of a backswing. Perfectly acceptable for right now. We're focusing on what? One thing. Focus on the one thing that we're doing, and that's it. Grade yourself based off that. Did I launch at an appropriate angle? Don't worry about anything else. Don't worry about where the ball goes. So you're here. Okay, get those knees outside. Find that pinky toe. Cross, excuse me, not cross. You're just here. Eyes, top of the mat. Do not look up. Your cervical spine, that's your neck. If your neck does this, while the rest of your body is angled that way, that's why most of you pull up right away. You don't have to look that way. You don't have to. Right now, I don't want you to. Don't look up at all. If your butt brings you up and you look. But don't. Don't right now. So we're here. We've got just 3 pitches. Here, same exact way you just sprinted. and go through it, okay? So 3 and 3, here we go. Cross fall into a sprint first. 3 and 3. Back, set, cross. Tension in the front of your feet. All the weight is in the front of your feet. Front of your feet. Even though this foot's flat, the weight's in the front of my foot. I'm gonna fall. Get up. Your whole goal here should be to rip the rubber off the mat. Rip the rubber off the mat. Number 2, explode. Get out there. Cross, ball arm up top. Look at how close my feet are. Okay. If I'm a taller person and I'm more comfortable here, I just fall deeper. Fall. And I'm out. One more. Same thing. Fall. And I'm out. Explode out. Now, 3 pitches. 3 pitches. Very simple. Same things happening. Same things happening. Parents, if you're there, let's do this. Record them doing this. And you can send it to me. I'll look at it. I'll give you some tips. Doesn't matter to me. You're already here. You're already online. Let's be sure we're doing it right. So, same thing. Pitching from the front of the rubber. Okay, like I said, if you already do this, go ahead and do it. If you want to try it, go ahead and try it. Think about how you threw the medicine ball. Don't try to just put your hands on the side. That's going to feel awkward. Fall into it. Just relax. Fall and go. 3, 3, 3. I'm going to give you 45 seconds to get those 3. It's probably a little bit on too much. That's 15 seconds each. So what that means is those 3 pitches, you are exploding and ripping the rubber off the mat as hard as possible. When you work gas BP, velocity-based sessions, maximal effort and intent is so important. You take the rest to be able to gas it every time. If you feel like you can't smash the rubber before you start your throw, wait. You're not going to get a quality rep doing that. 15 seconds left. Get your last throw in. We're going to work through this twice. Second time should always be better. Second time should always be better. You should always be accelerating better when you do your sprints. You should already be exploding out better when you're actually throwing live. Here we go. Staggered cross fall to sprint. Okay. Fall. Energy right there. Fall. Get out. Fall and go. Fall and go. Number 2, bring it back. I'm going to do it from position that actually works for me because I'm not very tall. 5'7 3/4. Torso and femur pretty much the same length. So I really need to get in here. Fall. Driving. One more. Explode. Explode. If you rip the rubber off the mat, whether you're sprinting or you're pitching, email me. Give me a video. I'll give you $100. Get outside that pinky. Fall and go. Always maintain that same angle. So now, 3 pitches, same position, in front of the rubber. You got 1 minute starting now to complete those. I'm going to talk as you're doing it, just so if you need that information, you do. If you don't, just focus on your things. My voice is just extra information. I'm relaxed. I'm always finding the arch, the edge of the rubber, and I'm doing my check before I pitch. Can I push my hips out immediately, or does my heel go down, or does my knee go backward first? Neither of those 2 things can happen. Neither of those 2 things can happen. If I'm rotating, I'm relaxed, and I'm just getting out. Push, push. It is back leg, always is a push version. Front leg goes through a pull, then a push. Pull, then a push. The reason it's a pull and a push is because you're pulling your hip over and then pushing your hip out. Hamstring, then the quad goes to help. Should be on your last pitch. Everything, full rest. It's more than 15 seconds each pitch. Gas it, gas it, gas it. When you're doing this at home, these are how you should set specific days to structure gas BP sessions, and you should be throwing no more 60 pitches. Throw them in clusters of 5s, throw them in clusters of 7s, video, go back, watch it. That one felt like I really exploded off. Have a simple goal like I'm talking about today. All we're talking about is projection. Are you getting that projection angle? That's your only grade. Either it happened or it didn't. Everything else, forget about it. Okay? Next drill. Next drill. Now, that was more back leg focused. Now this is called our kickstand drill. So our kickstand, this is from right-handed pitcher position. Kickstand drill helps us in progressions the same way that last drill did. It manipulates our body and puts us in a position so that all I have to worry about is attacking the angle I'm already at. Once again, we manipulate a position so that the athlete has to focus less about everything else and only on the task at hand, which is, am I projecting through acceleration? And that's it. So with our kickstand, you want to even, we call it kickstand because it's like a bike. If I kick the kickstand off a bike, number one, how does it move? How does it move? That's what a kickstand does. There's a axis and that happens. Remember that, because if you're right-handed, you go back to having your right foot and you make that same check. Can you, from that position, immediately go? Now, the kickstand would be your stride leg. Now, what we want to accomplish here, and you're gonna do 2 sprints first, then you're gonna pitch 3 times. So, kickstand sprint, we're here, and I want you to notice, like I said, it's gonna act like a true kickstand. So when I lift this foot, I'm just letting it fall back. And if you were to pause that moment in space, it looks like I'm one object. It's the same thing we've talked about over and over again. This leg ends up almost matching, because what have we talked about all the time? Our joint orientation all has to push out the same. If you're not doing a kickstand with that objective, it's just a drill that's just, I don't even know. It sucks, to be honest, if you do it any other way. It does nothing for you. It's a garbage drill if you do it any other way. So we've got 2 sprints first. So if I throw with my left foot is against the rubber. Okay. We're going to cross arms. Flip, push. It's a sprint. It's a sprint. 2 common mistakes that'll happen. 2 common mistakes we'll make. And I already know most of you are doing this. You're doing this. And then pushing off. You're so worried about stride that you pick this up and throw it out. That's why we want to do sprints first and then pitch. Because if I tell you to sprint and run a race, you're more likely to do what you should be doing. Push, push back again. So let's hit them 2 quickly. Kickstand. Okay. And cross. Lift, fall. Deep angles. That's 1. Number 2. This is me if I was right-handed. Notice I don't come up at all. I stay falling. It's a kickstand. Bike falls. Press it. Make that check. Cross. Eyes match spine. Fall. Accelerate out. Now, when we do our kickstand push pitching, same thing. You're accelerating your hips now. Now just throw the ball. Very simple. Here, kickstand. You don't have to be cross arm when we're doing the pitch. Go wherever you normally go. If it's right here, whatever it is, fine. So here, and I'm going. You're gonna see that your hip height changes because you've gotten used to accelerating, projecting. And now the natural, what you already know to get to posture is going to happen. 3 pitches that way. 3 pitches. Set up. Right foot if you're right-handed, left foot if you're left-handed. Get set. Take the kickstand back. Push. Okay? Remember, don't worry about that stride at all. Your stride is your stride based off of what you put into the ground. If I'm hip dominant, your stride is created by the hip driving forward. Your femur is attached to your hip. So if my hip drives forward, my femur, which is my thigh, is going to do the same thing. Those of you that don't do that, that aren't hip driven, swing your shin, and that is terrible. Terrible, terrible, terrible. And we need to get rid of that. These drills help us understand that. 2 more pitches. Kickstand, get in your stance. Lift the kickstand, keep the eyes down. Go into your pitch. Explode out. Explode out. This is something else you can video and send me. I'll look at it. I'll give you whatever you need. 1 more. Here we go. Set. Kickstand. Lift it. And get out. All you gotta do is keep those toes flexed. Keep those toes flexed. Okay, 2 sprints. 2 sprints. 30 pitches. Let's do it again. 1 more round. 1 more round. Explode. Like I said, second set, you're winning races here. If you are a pitcher, there's no reason you shouldn't be fast. They're the same things. And by fast, well, maybe not to say fast. There's no reason you shouldn't accelerate explosively. You should be able to take on anybody in the world within the first 5 yards. You should, because that's pitching. That's pitching. My first move is the same. That's why I posted the video on block starts. So here we go. This is me left-handed. So my left foot is forward. Cross arm. Explode out. And lift the kickstand. Push. Get out. That's 1. I'm going to act as if I'm right-handed this time, so my right foot is on the rubber. Explode. Rip the rubber off the mat. Get set. Tension. Knee out. And lift. Push. Get up. Now we're pitching. Don't make that mistake. Don't bring that front knee up. Let it fall back and let your butt swing it through. Let your butt swing it through. 3 pitches. This is what I mean by let your butt swing it through. Do the same exact thing you did when you were sprinting. Okay, set. Nice and relaxed. Upper body should be super relaxed. All the tension should be in your feet, down in the butt. Okay, that's where tension gets held. Do your check. Okay, now from there, that position, lift the kickstand. Your knee, both knees, shouldn't separate from each other until after you've done your push part from your kickstand. So watch that video. If the knee separates early before you've pushed, you're just worried about stride. So let's have it happen really well. Okay, 2 more. Set. Relax, and lift it, push, right into your pitch, right into your throw. Last one, last rep, best rep. Everything you got, rip the rubber off the mat. You become one as a body, and then you foot to glute. 3, set, 3, 2, and lift, push. See, like for me, that one was terrible. And I know it was terrible. I didn't get out, I didn't use my hips, spine was all out of whack. It's terrible, terrible, terrible. And the reason I know that is because of all the prep work we do, all the positions we're in. The reason we make you and manipulate your position is because I only have one way to go once I lift that kickstand. If I go up, I'm going to realize it. And that's the thing we have to do with drills and exercises. We have to put ourselves, if we're focusing on specific things, in positions that if we do the wrong thing, we know it. Because that's how you make adjustments. That's how we get better. That's how we learn and progress. Okay, so If you want to continue doing that, you can go ahead and do that for 2 more rounds each. So do staggered crossfall. So staggered crossfall, our first drill, okay? 3 sprints, go 5 pitches, 5 throws from the front of the rubber. So here, and then staying here, get into your pitch, okay? 3 and 5 for 2 rounds, and then go kickstand sprint, and then kickstand push. So kickstand, remember, if you're right-handed, focus on that kickstand. Focus on it. Your body should look like one. This leg disappears. And then I push out. I didn't push out hard on that one, so don't think that's a representation. I was trying to hold myself together as long as possible to give you a better cue and a view. But that's our objective. We're here. We're doing it fast. Kickstand. And we're getting out. Okay? So, same thing. You'll do that. Do 2, because that's a lot of sprints. 2, kickstand sprint. 5, kickstand push pitches. Okay? 2 rounds of each of those. So, thank you guys so much for your time. Appreciate it. Thank you. We will see you next week.